Hey guys, it's Mr. Dudley here again, and today I'm going to go over your lesson from yesterday, May the 5th, our Tuesday reading lesson. So your email should be at the top. Remember, whenever you do each assignment, make sure that it's your email up here, because if not, then it will not register and you won't get an actual grade for that because it won't be connected to our grade book. So make sure that it's your email that's at the top. Make sure you type your name in. Pick your teacher, just like always. And then mostly just like always too, we have a journal prompt. It says in today's reading we will read descriptions of planets. If you could describe yourself with 3 words, what words would you use? And explain why those words describe you. So word number 1 I would use is I think that I am creative because I like to come up with new solutions to problems. So that's one word I could use. I could say I'm creative. I could say that I'm joyful because I am always trying to be happy. That's what joyful means, being happy. And then the last one I could say, what's another word I could use to describe myself? I would say funny because I like to make jokes. So these are 3 words I could have used to describe myself. You could have used any words that you wanted to use, and that's perfectly fine. Let's go ahead and go to the next one. So in each video, I read through the slides, for the page numbers. In this one, I read pages 18 to 21. I'm not going to watch the video of myself reading that again. But below that, in the video, when I say to stop and go down and look at your gist chart, this is what I'm talking about right here, down here. It says look at the chart below to see the topic and main idea of the pages we just read together. So we read pages 18 to 21 in this video. The topic of those pages were dwarf planets and amazing planets. And the main idea of those pages were that dwarf planets are small, planet-like objects in space. Planets have different characteristics that make them special. That's the main idea that we got from reading pages 18 to 21. So I went ahead and put it in a chart for you so that you could see that after we read. So then we have a question to answer after. It says, what is the main difference between dwarf planets and regular planets? You should have went back into the video if you needed to find this answer. You could have paused it on the page you found your answer. I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. What's the main difference in dwarf planets and regular planets? Dwarf planets are made up of gas and liquid. I don't need to go back in the text. Remember, those are the gas planets that are made up of gas and liquid, and we learned that last week, so it's not going to be this first answer. Dwarf planets sometimes share their orbits with other planets. I think I read something about that in pages 18 and 21. I'll go check and make sure. Dwarf planets are much bigger than regular planets. That's actually way wrong, right? That's a terrible answer because the dwarf planets are way smaller than regular planets. And then dwarf planets do not orbit the sun. I don't remember reading that, but let me go make sure. So if I go back up here to my video, it's not going to let me go back into the video because I'm recording my screen. However, if you read on page 19 and 20, it tells you that dwarf planets sometimes share their orbits with each other. So maybe 2 dwarf planets are on the same orbit. So that means they're sharing their orbit with other planets. So my answer is B right here. Dwarf planets sometimes share their orbits with other planets. The next one again, it says, planets pages 22 to 25. So you should have skipped to where it says 3 minutes and 18 seconds. That is when I start to read page 22 to 25 in the video. So I'm not going to again go back and watch the video again. You should have already done that whenever you were reading it with me. I'm going to go back to my chart that says page 22 to 25 is about moons. And the main idea is that moons also orbit the sun, and some planets have their own moons. Earth has its own moon. So some planets have multiple moons. They may have more than one. Earth has only one. But moons also orbit the sun, just like Earth and the other planets do. So when we were reading that in the text today in page 22 to 25, it was talking about when the first astronauts landed on the moon, remember? And it said on there, how are the footsteps that astronauts left on the moon over 40 years ago still on the moon today? Well, did the astronauts go back to the moon like 30 or 40 years later and redo their footprints? I don't think that they did that, right? It doesn't tell us that in the text. The moon has many people that walk on it, so the footprints stay. I don't think that a lot of people are going to visit the moon, right? And I think that these people were the only ones at the time who have ever been. And it's been some people that have went, but there's not a lot of people that go and are able to walk on the moon, right? So both of these answers don't make really any sense at all. There is no weather on the moon. I do remember reading that in the text. It told me there's no weather on the moon, there's no rain, there's no anything like that. So that might be why. Or the sun melted the footprints into the moon. Well, it doesn't tell me that anywhere in the text. The only one in the text that tells me why astronauts' footprints are still on the moon is because there's no weather on the moon. It tells us that in the text that since there's no weather on the moon, there's no rain or anything, the footprints stay because there's nothing to wash away or make the footprints go away. Then we read page 26 to 29 together. Again, I'm not going to go back into the video for that. I'm going to go just to my gist chart, which is from page 26 to 29, was about space exploration or exploring space. And those pages were mostly about scientists that have developed creative ways to explore space using probes, satellites, and robots. So the first question is, how do humans explore planets? Do they go to the planet, explore on feet? Do they take pictures on their phones of the sky and zoom in? Do they send animals to explore the planets, or do they send robots to explore the planets? Well, let's go through each of these answers and eliminate the ones we know are not true. Humans exploring planets. Do they go to the planets and explore on feet? Well, most of the planets, if not almost all of them, humans are not able to go there because there's not oxygen. There's nothing for them to breathe. So it would be almost impossible without a spacesuit to go to a lot of these planets. On top of the fact that a lot of them are way too hot, like the rock planets like Earth and Mars and stuff are they would be too hot, right, to go to Mars because it's so close to the sun. So it can't be that one. They take pictures on their phones of the sky and zoom in. You would have to have the best phone ever invented to be able to take a picture of the sky and zoom in all the way to see all the planets. That would be super hard, right? They send animals to explore the planets. If you've seen a movie or something, or a show where they send like a monkey to the moon, or they send an animal to Mars or something like that, that's probably in a movie or something. But that's not how humans explore planets. What good would it do for us to send up a monkey to study Mars or Venus or Uranus? Are they going to be able to come back and tell us what they saw? Probably not, right? So even if we might have sent animals before to explore space and see if humans or other things could live, the animals can't really tell us much. So how do humans explore planets? They send robots to explore the planets. Remember, in the text we read, it told us that they use probes and satellites, and they'll put robots out there with cameras on them where they can control the robots with the remote control and take pictures of the planet and all that cool stuff. Let's go to the next question, excuse me. The author included the photograph of a rocket on page 26 to explain why scientists are exploring space, how scientists are exploring space, who is allowed to explore space, and which astronauts have already explored space. So this answer should be an answer that we could support by looking at the text. And if we can't support it, it's not a good answer. So if I can't look at the picture and make that connection, then it's not a good answer, okay? Why scientists are exploring space. Would I ever be able to look at a rocket and know why scientists are wanting to explore space? Not really, right? Looking at the rocket doesn't tell me why they want to go. Does looking at the rocket show me how they are going? Well, it's showing me a rocket, which is showing me how scientists get to space, right? So that's telling me how scientists are exploring space. Is it showing me who's allowed to explore space? In the picture, do I see who's allowed to go? Does it tell me that who's not able to go to space? I can't see that in any of the picture, right? Go back and make sure, but I couldn't see that in the picture. And then which astronauts have already explored space? Again, I can't look at the picture and get that answer. It does not tell me which astronauts have already explored space. The only answer that I could get by looking at the picture is how scientists are exploring space. How are they getting there? Well, the author put a picture of a rocket to show us how the scientists are getting to space to explore it. So that's our answer. Lastly, we have one more question about pages 30 to 32. These were like fun facts you could have done with your family, and little things like that that would have been cool and fun to do. But I'm not going to go and watch the video with you. You should have already done that. So this question says, what is the path an object takes around another object? Is it gas, orbit, gravity, or a circle? Well, gas is gas, right? It's invisible most of the time. It's kind of like air. Is that the path an object takes around another object? No, I don't think so. Is an orbit? If Earth orbits the sun, is that an object going around another object? I think so. If Mars orbits the sun, is that Mars going around the sun? Two objects? Yeah, it is. So that's a good answer. Gravity. Gravity is what keeps us down on the earth, right? That's what makes it to where we don't float off into space, right? Is having gravity, but that's not putting me on a path or anything like that. And then a circle. A circle is just the shape of the orbit, right? The orbit does go in a circle, but it's not called a circle. The path an object takes around another object is called an orbit. Let's go to the last page really quickly. So, in the video, I told you to go back after each section and answer the questions. You should have done that, pausing at each point. And then at the end, I put this gist anchor chart from everything that we read today so that you could have an idea of what the main ideas from each page, group of pages, were about. So pages 18 to 21. This is the topic, this is the main idea. Same for 22 to 25 and 26 to 29. So these are just to remind you what the pages we read about were from today. So in your opinion, what is the most interesting fact you read about today? Well, I think it is interesting that humans can send robots to explore space. See how I wrote that in a complete sentence too? I started out with my subject, I, and then I gave you my predicate, I think it is interesting, and the rest is a complete sentence because I have a subject and a predicate. So when you're answering these short answer questions, make sure to try and write your answer in a complete sentence. That is it for the day. If you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to me or your teacher, and we'll be glad to answer those for you. I hope you have a super exciting rest of your week. I love you guys. I miss you guys. Have a good rest of your day.